I'd like to talk about the movie I saw yesterday, I think last night. And I was kind of taken because this is a very old film by Master Yasujiro Ozu, Japanese film. And The Flavor of Green Tea Over Rice. This is 1952 films. This particular film, for a while, I think when I came to the U.S., I watched all the Akira Kurosawa's film for the first time, and then most of the Ozu Yasujiro's film for the first time again. So I thought the Flavor Green Tea Over Rice, I saw it. But when I saw it last night, I wasn't sure that I had seen this film before because the initial part is more or less kind of familiar, but the end stories, how the story going, is kind of vague there. So even though I saw it, I forgot about it, or maybe I stopped in the halfway and I didn't continue. But it is very pleasurable watching because Ozu's film is almost like very peaceful and no violence or no sadness or no tremendous emotional content, but it's subtle. Emotional content is subtle, and but I think the movie as a movie making skills, it's very enjoyable to watch. You never get bored or anything. You kind of are drawn into this world. And this particular story is about this man who is kind of a very capable middle-aged man who are successful in his work, but as always, the company man, the company's work is the first, and then home life is the second priorities, and so forth. So I could see that. And the wife is a housewife. She is not working, and she kind of an idle every day with meeting the sisters or friends, going out for the eating or cafe or whatever. And so supposedly those life, which is a typical Japanese traditional life of 1900 to 1960s, 1970s, I think very typical, because mostly wife is kind of taken care of by husband financially, so they stay home and taking care of kids and taking care of house chores. But this particular family, they don't have any child or anything, but they're kind of relatively wealthy family, so that they have this servant girl working for them, for cooking and cleaning, all these things. So wife, even though she's staying, she doesn't do cooking, she doesn't do any house cleaning or anything. And so I think she's bored. She's kind of fed up with this type of life, and she was sulking about this husband working alcoholic, and didn't pay much attention. But this particular husband is also depicted in this film is a very nice man, and a very considerate and loving husband. But she is more or less like half sulking, pouting wife who is not satisfied with current situation, and she even lies to her husband to go to the a trip, an overnight trip to here and there. And so she's depicted as that. And I think the director point of view is that this particular person's psyche is not, admirable trait. And but as the movie goes on, and you get she changes a little bit. I'm not sure that she changed a lot. She changed a lot at the ending, but you're not sure she's going to be. As an audience, you are glad that she changed to be more loving person to the husband. But as myself, her characters and so forth is going to continue on, forever, because that's her character. And so, looking at this movie, I saw a lot of Japanese that's there. This movie was made 1952, and I grew up. I was born 1948, so I grew up in this kind of a culture. So I completely understand that type of culture exists, where the husband is a mostly company man, dedicated to the company, working very, very hard, and family life is a secondary. So wife taking care of families and everything, but also if wife is not satisfied with that kind of a life, she is tremendously unsatisfied. She's trying to be more independent. She's trying to be doing things like her own, and of course there is a clash between those husband and wives many, many times. And so those things are very, very typical, I think, common themes there. At that time, I think now I'm not sure, I wasn't in it, so I don't know, but I think pretty much the same. I think if the wife works, I think most young Japanese couple, I think a wife works. So, kind of a trend that's different, but I think the husband also required to do a more house chore, taking care of kids and all these things today, compared to 1950s and 60s. And so I kind of saw that. And typical, like a fun thing to do for Japanese man and a woman is somewhat, I have a little bit of objection at that time already, but the Japanese has this certain the characters of being the same with other people, right? Okay, because that's conformity. Therefore, they enjoy the same type of thing, like going to the baseball game or going to gambling or bicycle gambling and so forth. I think at the time it was very popular. I'm not sure today it is still popular. Bicycle gambling, bicycle racing gambling, or pachinko. Pachinko is the pinball machine that you go there and 3 or 4 or 5 hours you spend there playing this pachinko game, and sometimes you are successful, but mostly you lose. And gambling, that's all gambling. And of course, the young woman's attitude towards this omiyai, which is arranged marriage. In this one also, this film, it shows that young woman was kind of tremendously against those particular traditions or customs to be arranged for marriage. So that's there, and somehow this particular movie trying to show those customs, and I'm not sure Ozu is trying to depict as a kind of a critical eye toward that kind of activities, or it's a matter of fact that this is a Japanese lifestyle and as it is, it has a lot of pleasure as well as the problems in there. But as Oz's film, I felt this particular one is kind of a dry. And dry means, I would say, more critical toward the personality or lifestyle or society itself. And so it was very interesting. And but it was so pleasurable to watch because acting is super good. And there's two characters, husband and wife, played by Shin Saburi and Michio Kogure. Those two characters tremendously good, but all the other characters as well, and the storytelling is very riveting, I think, and here and there. And of course, this very telltale signs of Oz's camera angle, always like a flow level shot to look up the people's walking or standing, and show this Japanese characteristic architecture. Shoji screen and a sliding door, all these things. It's a beautiful design concept there, and I really enjoyed that. And so yeah, and this flavor of green tea over rice. I think I recommend everybody to watch it. I think the YouTube you can watch it with English subtitles on, and all the other film that I love. I have a list of all these films, like a Late Spring. There Was a Father, which is 1942, and Late Spring 1949, Early Summer 1951, and The Flavor Green Tea Over Rice is 1952, and Tokyo Story, which is kind of a famous, popular movie, 1953, Early Spring 1956, Equinox Flower 1958, Good Morning 1959, Floating With 1959, Late Autumn 1960, End of Summer 1961, and Autumn Afternoon 1962. All of them kind of try to show this very serene Japanese life, which still have lots of tremors in the family life, because the daughter is not married, even though she's getting older, trying to take care of father or something like that, and lots of societies norm at that time is kind of tend to be seen as a little bit of a not a problem, but a little bit of topics of the conversation, because it's not the right or something like that. But all these films I mentioned, you got to see those, and I'm glad I saw that yesterday, because I didn't remember the particular movie that much story-wise. And the other movie, like a Tokyo Story, I have a DVD, and I saw 3 or 4 times already. And Autumn Afternoon and Floating Weeds. Also, I think it's a very well directed film about this family traveling as actors to the local area. And so there's lots of good films there, and so I really wish that some of you who doesn't know anything about the Japanese film, also is one of the directors, alongside with the Kurosawa. This is the two giants, Kurosawa, Ozu, and you have to see those, and they're very different. Kurosawa's film is like a more action-packed, more Western style of filmmaking. But Ozu's film, I would say Japanese style of filmmaking, and many directors also love all this film because of this his skill to make these beautiful films. And so I just wanted to say, yeah, all this film is great and very, very fun to watch. Okay, bye.